Before we start, answer this question. In fact, write a comment. I can assure you, you will have a different perspective about accents. Question 1, which accents do you speak with? And question 2, which accents do you think I speak with? Have you thought about your answers? No, okay. I speak with American and Turkish accents. I have not one, but 2 accents in my speech. They asked this exact same question on Reddit to people who speak English as a second language, and some of the answers were like Swedish, Polish, and RP. German and American. Interesting combinations, right? But this is only natural because we are not native speakers. We speak English as a second or a foreign language. So it's absolutely okay and natural to have more than one influence on your speech. For example, one influence would be your native language and its effect on the second or foreign language you're speaking. Then you have that language you are trying to learn itself. It's also an influence because you are exposed to their nativeness at the same time. For example, I'm Turkish and I learned English from Turkish teachers. So for the longest time, I had the thickest Turkish accent while speaking English, and that's because I've never been exposed to English outside of the classroom. The only place I've ever heard or spoken English was the classroom. Now, it's been 11 years since I gained fluency. Somewhere along the line, on top of my Turkish accent, I picked up this generic American accent, and it wasn't my choice because I was exposed to American accent. I watched heavy American TV series like all the time, and it had an influence on my speech naturally. It's not something I can control, and neither can you. For example, even though it's been 11 years, I still sometimes lose my accent or my accent slips. For example, I watched Crown 4 seasons back to back, and at some point I noticed that I say some words differently. I picked up RP. And I didn't mean to, and I don't want to, but it happens. When I had this thick, natural Turkish accent, I was so self-conscious. Whenever I slipped into my natural accent, I felt like I had to repeat myself or correct myself so that people would understand me. I honestly believe that having this natural accent was making me sound less fluent, and people would have a hard time understanding what I'm saying, or even they would make fun of me. That's why I corrected myself every time my accent slipped. But let me tell you, it's part of an internalized and shared trauma. I'm gonna give an example about my experience in my country. People in Turkey are rude on a different level when it comes to English. I think it is a result of a complex because we are taught English for 8 years as a mandatory class, but most of us graduate unable to put together a sentence. So people who can put 2 sentences together automatically think they have dominion over people who can put only 1 sentence together, and they start bullying. It's unacceptable, but it happens. It happens in school and it happens in social media mostly. For example, whenever a local influencer shoots their first video in English, I can assure you they will get bullied in the comment section because of their accent. Not because of their vocabulary, not because of their grammar, not because of their pronunciation, their accent. They will get bullied for their accent. It happens every day when a Turkish influencer posts a video in English. Even I get bullied. Like the other day someone wrote, "Stick to Turkish." And you know what's weird? They're also Turkish, so English is not their first language, just like me. And they're telling me I shouldn't be speaking English because of my accent. I mean, okay, I guess they're trying to prove themselves by bullying me. No real native speaker would ever bully you, because think about yourself. When someone foreign tries to speak Turkish Turkish with me, however broken their Turkish is, I feel happy. I feel proud of them and their efforts because I was born with this language, but they are making an effort to learn it. It's a great achievement. So no native speaker would make fun of you for speaking their language. They would actually be happy. Going back to bullies, people who speak English as a second or a foreign language. I don't know how this happened, but we have this misconception that you need to get rid of your natural accent in order to be fluent. That cannot be further from the truth, because you do not need an accent to be fluent. What you need is that you need to know how to pronounce things and how to stress them. And often people confuse pronunciation with accent. Pronunciation is what you need to improve. Accent is not the same thing. They use these two words interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. An example of pronunciation. Words that end in jn or shin have their stress on the syllable before jn or shin. For example, teleportation, communication, profession, location. And this pronunciation does not change from accent to accent. I'm gonna do my best and pronounce this rule with both the American and the British accent. I'm gonna do my best. Teleportation and teleportation. See, it's still before jn or shin. But of course, there can be disagreement between native speakers. That happens. For example, according to this rule, how would you pronounce this word? If you said television, you're correct. But if you said television, you're also correct, because that's one of the words that native speakers are having a disagreement about. So it doesn't matter if you speak it with a Brazilian accent or a Polish accent or an Indian accent or an American accent. It doesn't matter, because pronunciation does not equal accent, and accent won't cover your mistakes. For example, there's this Instagram persona in Turkey who calls herself a native English speaker and a teacher, so she must be perfect. Now, I've never claimed I'm a teacher because I'm not, and I'm not interested. I just want to create a community for people like me, people who speak English as a second or a foreign language, so we can improve and support ourselves. But this person claims they are a teacher and a native speaker. Even though I'm not either of those things, my ear is still trained, and to a trained ear, she sounds like BS. You may ask yourself, how did you make this deduction? She claims she is not Turkish. Turkish is a very hard language to learn. If I wasn't born with it, I wouldn't bother learning it, true. Because it's really hard. But she has perfect grammar and her vocabulary is native level. She has no problem expressing herself, only her accent is broken. What I'm trying to say, you can't cover your fluency if your accent is broken. So it will not damage you, it will not make you sound less fluent. If you actually have strong grammar, strong vocabulary, strong pronunciation, it didn't help her lie. And on the other hand, she says she's a native English speaker and a teacher, but she does mistakes that teachers and native speakers wouldn't do. She assumes this American accent, but she makes grammar mistakes and pronunciation mistakes elementary level speakers would do. For example, she teaches her students on Instagram to pronounce these words as tired and fire. Every native speaker and teacher can tell you that these words are pronounced as tired, fire, not tired and fire. So having an American accent does not cover her mistakes. Now, I'm not trying to judge or make fun of her. I gave her as an example because she's lying. The moral of that story, a broken accent doesn't come with your perfect grammar and your perfect pronunciation. I'm just trying to tell you, instead of focusing your energy on accent, try to improve your pronunciation, your grammar, your vocabulary. These are the things that will help you become fluent, not accent. The only reason you might feel like you need to improve your accent is not because of your speaking skills, but your comprehension level. For example, for the longest time, I had trouble understanding any British accent. I couldn't. So I exposed myself to British accent. Now I have no trouble. So yeah, I worked on that accent to understand it. Work on pronunciation, work on grammar, work on vocabulary. Accent should be the least of your concerns. And I created this website for people like us, for people who speak English as a second language, as a foreign language, so that we can come together and talk about issues and concerns like this, because there's no one who can understand this better than each other. And it's not just about English. We can talk about daily stuff too. For example, you can enter the forum and you can go to the random category and you can tell about your day, for example, or you want to talk about news, what's going on in the world. Boom, you can. Just chat, include English more in your life. And if you have any questions about English or improving your skills, you can do that. I want to give you a community, a platform where you can engage with one another and express your problems or just keep in touch with friends in English. I didn't have anyone to talk to in English, but you can find in this platform now. I thank you so much if you watched this far, and I will see you in my next video.